Mike, you've said that the new iPhones would be a great competitive moment now that it's here. What's the moment about?
Well, we're celebrating over here at T-Mobile. You know, this is the start of the race. We've been talking about this for years, 5G, 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 and consumers really haven't been paying attention. Now they will. And now it will matter which company's ahead in the 5G race. And Emily, it's hands down T-Mobile. You know, we're the only ones with dedicated spectrum in low, mid, and high band. And so we're gonna take this race and run way ahead. And you know, the beginning of the 5G decade started today.
That said, how do these new iPhones really change the game? Because you and I both know that a 5G network doesn't turn on overnight. We saw the CEO of Verizon on stage with Tim Cook saying, it's here now. Is it really?
Well, not for his. We found that as surprising as you did. The millimeter wave technology that many people thought of as 5G early on, and that he spoke about, is only reaching like 1% of Americans. So that's not what 5G is all about. 5G will unfold in mid-band and low band, and only T-Mobile has dedicated mid-band, low band, and high band. And what that means is we have right now today, on day one, we have 25 million customers being reached by mid-band with a transformational experience, not a little faster like low band can do, but 7.5, 8 times faster, hundreds of megabits per second right now. And we're targeting 100 million people with those kinds of speeds by the end of this year, just a couple months away. So it's an unprecedented breakneck build that we're doing. And it makes a difference. I mean, when you've got an iPhone, a 5G iPhone that's 7, 8 times faster than LTE is today, that's game changing. And it's not just in a few places like millimeter wave might be able to do. It's across hundreds and hundreds of cities, 25 million people as we sit here today.
So since you got a little technical there, Verizon and Apple's presentation made it sound like high-band millimeter wave networks are the future. Are T-Mobile airwaves really up to the challenge?
Well, first of all, we have more of that millimeter wave spectrum than AT&T does, and second only to Verizon in the country. So we've got plenty of it, but it's only good as an augment to low and mid band. And that's the part that Verizon got wrong. And they're having to retool now. You know, they're obviously just redoing their strategy. Yesterday, they announced that they're supporting something called dynamic spectrum sharing, which basically shares the freeway lanes between today's LTE and 5G and divides up the capacity in two. Well, we don't do that. We dedicate our spectrum to 5G in low band that covers the whole country, 260 million people today. In mid band, as I explained, that high capacity freeway that reaches miles from the tower, but still goes hundreds of megabits per second. That's the Goldilocks spectrum of 5G. We're reaching 25 million people on our way to 100 million with that one. And then, of course, we have millimeter wave like they do. And we think that's best as an augment in urban areas for very high capacity scenarios. And like I said, we have more of that than AT&T has.
Now, AT&T and Verizon both immediately announced offers for free iPhone 12s. This morning, you announced your own T-Mobile iPhone 12 promotion. Was there some sort of change there? Did you initially decide you didn't need a promotion?
No, the pre-order actually starts on Friday, so they jumped the gun a little bit, but we announced the offers on time this morning, and all three carriers have free iPhones. But here's the difference. On T-Mobile, your free iPhone is on top of the industry's leading rate plans. And so for us, get this, you can have 2 lines at T-Mobile with free iPhone 12s included, or iPhone 12s included, for $100 a month. 2 people, including your iPhone 12s. And so that's really showcases the difference between us and them, because AT&T's $120 for that. Verizon's over $140, and in all cases, it includes, you know, a trade-in of a recent iPhone and a new line. So we're 20 to 40% less than those guys in the most common scenarios, and of course we are. We've always been the value leader in this country.
How many 5G iPhones has T-Mobile sold to date?
Well, the pre-orders begin tomorrow. And so, none. And that's true across the whole world.
Well, but Samsung has been out with 5G iPhones for a while, right, Mike?
Well, okay, you said iPhones. I gotcha. So Samsung's been out with phones, but they would take exception to the iPhone term being applied to them. No, we've got millions of people with 5G phones from Samsung and other providers. And, and what's interesting is once you've got the full lineup, I mean, iPhone's important culturally. And once you've got the full lineup, that's when the race starts. That's when consumers in America really start paying attention. So it matters now who's ahead in this race in a way that it didn't just a few days ago. And, that's the strength of Apple's brand in this country.
So let's talk about how quickly the network will be built out and available. Can you tell me how many major markets are fully covered at this point, and how many will be fully covered by year end or a year from now?
Well, we're the only ones that cover all 50 states with 5G. More than 7,500 cities and towns nationwide, 260 million people with dedicated 5G. Verizon reaches about 4 million people with dedicated 5G. We reach 260. Now, what they're doing is they have this dynamic spectrum sharing to reach people with a partial 5G that's split up between 5G and 4G. It's totally different. And even that, they don't reach nearly what we reach, maybe 200 million people. So we're way ahead, and we're building at a breakneck pace. Why are we doing that? Because we have the proceeds of the synergies from our recent merger. We not only brought together a spectrum portfolio with that merger, but the synergies allow us to plow money into capital to build a network for this country's consumers and businesses at a faster pace than we've ever seen happen before. And so, like I said, just look at our midband. I talked about we're at 25 million today. We're going to 100 million by the end of this year, which is only two and a half months away.
I'm speaking to the president of Qualcomm in the next segment, Mike, and I'm curious, given their role in building out the infrastructure and supplying the chips and critical technology, what would you want to ask the president of Qualcomm?
Well, to me, the thing that's really intriguing, and they're such an incredible company with great technology. What's really intriguing is what can the technology unveil and unfold when it comes to real experiences for consumers and businesses? And because their chipsets and their technologies are what people will be tapping into along with our networks. If you're a software or a hardware innovator, you need to know what those roadmaps look like, and so that you can create experiences. It's hard to predict what those experiences are. If you go back a decade ago to the beginning of the 4G era, we really thought 4G would be about loading pictures faster on your picture phone. And obviously, it unfolded very differently than that. We got the smartphone revolution. So now we're at the beginning of something even more transformational. And the more they can unveil about the roadmaps, the more hardware and software innovators can get in front of it and create these amazing experiences that will fuel our digital economy over the next decade.